Hey everybody, welcome back to my garden. My name is Samantha if you're new here, and today's video is a really important one. If you're new to gardening, make sure you watch this entire video and you will thank me later. These are 8 no-nos in the garden. Do not do this in your garden and you will be so glad you listened to my advice. The first big no-no is do not forget to read the care tag that comes with the plants that you purchase. These aren't just to show you a pretty picture of what the blooms are going to look like and give you a name of the plant. It actually has really important information in it as well. It's going to tell you if it needs sun or part shade or shade. It's going to tell you what kind of soil it likes best. It's going to tell you how big it's going to get. Lots and lots of details that you need to know when planting your new plants. So make sure you read the tag and keep your tags. This is my binder full of all of the plant tags that I've gotten over the past 3 years. I need to work on it. It's something I'm going to do this winter when I can't work in the garden. I've got lots of new tags to add. But what I've done is gotten sheet protectors, and I've put them in sheet protectors so I can go back and reference exactly what I have in my garden, and I can read all about it anytime I have questions. The second thing I'm going to say, do not do in your garden is plant too close to a structure. Don't plant it too close to a fence. Don't plant it too close to your house. Don't plant it under your gutters because they're not going to get the water that they need because the overhang of your gutters are going to block all of that rain from hitting your plants. You don't want to plant it too close to a structure because then it's going to get into your foundation or up too close to the fence, and it's going to end up knocking things down or growing through the fence into your neighbor's yard, and they're not going to like that very much. So make sure that you are reading those labels and you're planting your plant far enough away from any kind of structure so it doesn't interfere with the structure or not allow for it to get the water that it needs when it does rain. I have done this. I've had to move things, and heed the warning. Make sure that you're planting things appropriately. This is what you need to do. If the care tag says the plant is going to get 4 foot wide at maturity, make sure that you're planting at least 2 feet away from the structure because you're looking at your diameter of the plant. And so the center of the plant needs to be at least 2 feet away from that structure if you want that plant to touch that structure once it's fully grown. If you don't want it to touch that structure, bring it out another 6 inches or another foot even from that, because that plant is going to get really big. Even though it's small and little in its little container right now, doesn't mean it's going to stay that way, and you want to make sure that you account for that and that you don't plant it too close to those structures. All right, number 3 is not to plant your plants too deep in the soil. Whenever you plant your plants, make sure that the soil level is even with the soil level of the plant that you're putting in the ground, or that it's even slightly above that soil level when you put it in the ground, especially if you have a lot of mulch that's going to go on top. So if you have 2 or 3 inches of mulch, you don't want to be completely level with that soil and then pile mulch onto it because it could smother your plant. So keep it slightly above the soil level and then bring your mulch back around to it, or have it level with the soil, and just make sure that you're not stacking mulch super high around the plant. Have it slowly taper to where it doesn't have quite as much right up against the plant. Next one, do not let the weeds take over. Oh my goodness, I've learned this from experience. I still struggle with this sometimes in my vegetable garden, but make sure that you are pulling weeds as often as you possibly can so it doesn't get out of hand. Something I like to do in my flower gardens is every morning when I'm drinking my coffee, I try to get outside to take a stroll around the garden to enjoy the beautiful flowers. And as I see a weed, I'll pull a weed. see a weed, pull a weed. And I don't have that much weeding to do in my flower beds because of that. If you stay on top of it, it really isn't a daunting task. It's actually quite enjoyable. And so as long as you are regularly out in your garden, checking on your plants, enjoying what you've done, you just pull that weed when you see it, and that way it doesn't get out of hand. Now my vegetable garden, I call it the danger zone because I do not get in there like I should, and it has become so difficult to weed that garden. I spend hours at a time trying to just win back what I've lost because I let the weeding get out of hand. And you don't want to live your life that way. Trust me, it is not fun. It's exhausting. So if you stay on top of the weeding, you don't have to worry about that, and you'll enjoy your garden so much more. So do not let those weeds get out of hand. Another one for you is that you don't water your plants from overhead, especially in the heat of the day when the sun is out. That's a big, big no-no. You will scorch your plants, you will scorch your leaves, and they will not be happy with you, and they will not look pretty for you. So make sure that when you're watering, that you're watering early in the morning or in the evening when there is no sun touching your plant, and you want to do it when the sun doesn't have the ability to touch your plant too soon after watering. So make sure that you're choosing a good time of day, and whenever you do water your plant, if at all possible, water directly on the soil around the plant, and try not to get water on those leaves and on those flowers. Yes, when it rains, you're going to get water on the leaves and on the flowers, and that's okay. Make sure you're watering at the base of your plant when you're watering with a hose. If you have drip irrigation, that is wonderful. Make sure that you're turning that on regularly for your plants when there's a drought, and just make sure that you're not watering overhead in the heat of the day, in the hot sun, because it will scorch your plants. This is a no-no if you are wanting to sow seeds directly in your flower beds. So I had to learn this just by trial and error myself, and it makes sense, but I was just thinking I'm going to do it the easy way and see if I can get away with it. It can work sometimes depending on the type of seed, but the success rate is not that great. So to avoid frustration, make sure that you're not doing this. Do not sow your seeds on top of your mulch. Your seed need to contact the soil. So even if it wants you just to sprinkle directly on top and not to cover because it needs that light to germinate, you don't want to do that on top of the mulch. You want to do that on your soil. So pull back the mulch, sprinkle your seeds directly on the soil, water it in, keep it watered as you're waiting for it to germinate. And then once it's germinated and gotten big enough to push that mulch back over around it, then you can do that. But you want to make sure you're sprinkling your seeds directly on the soil and then covering them up a little bit with the soil if that's what the particular seed needs. They have different needs when germinating, so make sure you're reading those seed packets so you know exactly what it calls for, and that you get the best success rate in germination when planting those seeds directly in your flower beds. Here's another one for you. Do not plant invasives in your flower beds unless you want to be pulling your hair out for years to come, because they overtake your flower beds and your gardens and your other plants that you love so much, because it is so hard to get rid of invasive plants once you have them in the landscape. So make sure whenever you're shopping for your plants that you double check to make sure that it's not considered invasive in your area. We have a very invasive type of periwinkle. It's a perennial periwinkle, not the annual periwinkle, also known as vinca. And you definitely don't want to put that in your flower beds here in Tennessee, because it will take over and it will suffocate, and it is just not fun. There's so many other plants like this that can be considered invasive, so make sure you're checking on that so you're not planting those in your landscape, because they are thugs in the garden and you will struggle with those for years to come. So double check that. Don't plant invasives in your garden unless you want to be working extra, extra, extra hard from here on till eternity. Last one, you guys. Do not forget to enjoy your garden. You've worked so hard to make it what it is right now. It might not be perfect, but it is beautiful, and there are so many things that you can look at and enjoy and smell and love in your garden. So make sure you're stopping and you're taking the time to breathe it all in and to soak it all up before the season's over, because before you know it, it's going to be winter and we're not going to have it, and we're going to be longing for these days. So don't miss out on the enjoyment of your garden. So thank you guys so much for joining me. What other no-nos have you all experienced while working in your garden? I'd love to hear it, so write it in the comments below. There are so many things that we learn through trial and error working in our own gardens, and you all are way more experienced than even I am, so I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like and subscribe to my channel for more gardening tips, garden tours, and other videos where you'll see me working in my gardens. And I appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time. Happy gardening.